What's up, YouTube? ODST General back again with another Operation Trebuchet news update. So there's a lot of different news. I kind of posted about some of this on the Battle.net website. If you guys have frequented that, you may have seen some of this already. There's some new content that's been put out since then, so I'll have some new stuff to show you guys as well. And if you haven't, then there's going to be a lot of cool treats in this for you guys. So I'm going to start off because there's one thing I didn't leave in my notes that I just wanted to touch topic on, which is that last night Scorch had mentioned that he's going to be looking to get together stuff for a release soon. He said when he gets home. I'm not sure what he's got going on or how far away he is from home. I'm just assuming he's a ways away, so it might still be a little while. But it is worth mentioning that to you guys. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, we'll be seeing a release, even if it's not a lot of new content in there. We should be seeing fixes to the jetpack's gonna be re-implemented. I believe the elephant's been fixed up by White. The crashing issue a lot of people have seen with the drop pods has been fixed. I think there's a couple other issues people were experiencing that have been patched up or changed. I know there's still a few things out there that the devs are trying to nail down. A lot of people have had gray screen issues on certain maps, and they're trying to kind of nail down what's going on with that. But let's go ahead and jump into it, because I've got a number of different things I want to talk about here for you guys. So the first thing I want to talk about is Insurrection Plus. So Insurrection Plus is a project by Night of Wizard and Luca here. And they're both they both done missions, and Night of Wizard's obviously got his map and a few other things they've got going on here. But let's go ahead and take a look here. So Insurrection Plus, just like it sounds, it adds more insurrectionist models and stuff into the game. You're gonna have to forgive me here because there's a lot of different stuff. Basically, if it has this symbol, then it's Insurrection Plus. If it's got the red fist, or the red circle with the white fist, I should say. But it adds a whole bunch of new textures. A lot of these tend to be based off of existing maps, but obviously there's a lot of custom stuff in here too. This is like a kind of a rust camouflage type of deal. And they've got a few different versions. That looks like it's the pre-existing Mark 50, I'm guessing. It's the F-150 Sandcat armed. There's some neat stuff in here. I like the Warthogs probably the most in this. See if I can find one. So some of them can be kind of vulgar. Some got like pinup art and stuff like that. It just makes them feel a little bit more stolen. But yeah, there's a lot of different things in this. They add in some more old school armor and helmets. Some of them use kind of the newer stuff. It feels a little less organized than some patches. And some of this is kind of intermixed with regular Optray stuff and regular OpCan stuff too. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is actually probably one of my favorite textures from this pack, is because it really does look like it's kind of rusting or old or something here. It could fit in as like an older civilian vehicle if you were to take the gun off. You can see there is a ton of stuff in here. The only thing that I really would probably have an issue with when it comes to this is that it's kind of hard to necessarily find some of the guys you might be looking for. Although in the case with this pack, I mean, a lot of the stuff so just kind of like mix and match. I don't know if it matters much in the case of these guys. But if you were looking for something specific, you'd probably have a pretty difficult time finding it. They make use, it looks like, of the new content from Laws of War DLC. A lot of the new clothing and stuff is in there. Yeah, so some neat stuff in here. And they've got several packs of this, like Crimson's theirs. The Urban, the Winter, I believe is one of theirs too. So you got like the Snow Warthogs, the Snow guys. These packs here, the Crimson, the Urban, the Winter, those are all a little bit more consistent as far as how the guys dress and the uniforms and stuff like that. And then you've got like ODST Deserters. I'm still in winter, though, so it helps if I go to the right one. I was like, man, this all looks like the winter set. So the ODST Deserters is just, currently it's 3 retextures. When I first came out, they only had 1 in here. I think most of these are maybe a little bit overbearing for me. This kind of reminds me of some of the early retextures that you saw for like ODST clans and stuff that used to be in the Optrade community. A lot of them did stuff like this. It's a little much. I probably like this one the most. I just wish that the visor wasn't like painted over. It makes it seem off. But you know, it's like the least jarring costume. You know, just having like all camouflage on the ODST one, but it's like bright urban camouflage just throws it off, and purple visor and like the red ODST uniform. It doesn't seem quite right to me. But there's a lot of options, you know, and the nice thing about it is you don't have to use this. I mean, you see 1 or 2 in here you like, you're more than welcome to download and just use the 1 or 2. So let's keep talking about retextures and stuff like that. So Opcan, that's how Opcan started off. But, you know, Burgess has been developing his skills, you know, as the mod grows, he's grown. You know, right now he's working on a couple of different pretty cool projects. The first one is he's updating the CGA troops. And I think they're currently under... maybe it's under Blue 4. I can't remember. I have to find these guys. Yeah, Colonial Guard. So he's going ahead and he's updating these guys. Right now in the game, they are kind of a combination of like regular UNSC Marines meets like regular Arma 3 guys, and then like custom textures put on them, which is fine. I mean, it works out pretty well. But he's giving them custom helmets, custom body armor, custom backpacks to make them stand out a little bit more, make it look like they're still futuristic and sci-fi without just having to solely pull from the UNSC sandbox. And I believe, and don't quote me on this, I may have misseen, but he's been posting pictures of the Colonial Militia too that he's got, and I think he's making some new helmets for them, because I've seen them with like more of like a modern day helmet design rather than the current helmets that are on them with the, like the Armor 3 helmets. So I think these guys are getting a pretty big overhaul. It looks like some of their equipment's still the same, but bear in mind these guys are supposed to look like a fighting force, but a little bit more ragtag. You know, these are supposed to be the guys that are getting pulled up from like colonies and stuff that are, you know, trained to fight. You know, they're expected to fight, but at the end of the day, they're just, you know, less well equipped and less trained than some of the other groups. So those are both going to be really cool. I'm really excited for the new Colonial Guard stuff, especially. He's also working on a couple of other things. So he's got some new backpacks he's working on. I believe that this was actually a request from Theranet or somebody. I could be wrong who requested it, but somebody requested he bring into game Halo 3 backpack, which is only seen in Forge. As of right now, the backpack sizing looks really off. I think it just sticks out too far from the guy's back, so much more than the size. Hopefully it looks like it fits a little bit better, but any sort of new backpack or equipment's always kind of cool. It's always kind of nice to get that stuff, especially. You know, even though a lot of the backpacks in the mod, or I'm not in the mod, but the vanilla game fit the mod so well, you know, getting actual lore-friendly backpacks, or, you know, like I said, stuff that we've gotten to either, like, you know, see but not necessarily play with in the sandbox is kind of always a cool thing. And then he's got one other project, which I think a lot of people are going to be really excited for. That is the Rhino tank. I know a lot of people were super excited about the Scorpion. I haven't seen too much of it used, at least not in ops and stuff, which I'll actually talk about that a little bit more near the end. But not sure what to expect with this Rhino tank. It's still a long ways off from completion, but he's really shown, Burgess has really shown that he's far faster at developing stuff than I ever tend to expect. You know, it's like, okay, you know, it's one guy, he's developing one weapon. This is going to take him probably a good while, because you can develop that stuff really fast when you know how, but a lot of times, a lot of modders and a lot of mods and stuff, that just doesn't happen in most, like 90% of cases, you know. Once in a while you'll get a mod or a modder who can like knock stuff out like crazy, but it's so uncommon that when I see it with Burgess, you know, when I think of this like one guy who just started off as like a texture designer and like a retexture pack, when I see how fast he knocks some of this stuff out, I get really caught off guard by it. I shouldn't at this point, but I still do. At any rate, though, it's definitely going to be a beast, I think, when it comes out. You know, they've got those little rocket pods on the top. If I remember correctly, that's what those are. And it's got, you know, the dual cannons and all sorts of other stuff. And it's just heavily armored beast of death. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about Zephyr Souza. So Zephyr is obviously one of the official developers for the mod. She's been working on OptreZ stuff again here. So let's go ahead and let's pop down this UEG Colonial Guardsman here since it's already out and ready to go. So as you guys may have known, she's been working on a new DMR. Now, you know, I've been kind of slightly spoken out against the DMR just because we've already got one in the game, and I think the one in the game, even though Zephyr did that one, she doesn't think it's quite up to par. I thought it was a pretty satisfactory weapon, but with that being said, she definitely really has worked really hard on getting this new one into the game, and it is a really, really good quality weapon. So I don't want to bash on it too much because it is really awesome work. So right now this is currently available in OptreZ. So this is kind of the base version of the weapon. It starts off, it's got iron sight and a shortened barrel. So this is kind of what the base weapon looks like. Nice texture, you know. Iron sights are pretty good, I think. Now, bear in mind, this is kind of designed to be a ranged weapon. It's only got the single-shot fire mode just like previously. The first night this was released, this actually did use the MA5K scripting, so it actually had like the full auto fire that the MA5K had and stuff. It was just insane. So this is that's a pretty good weapon. It's, you know, definitely a nice-looking weapon at the base level, but there's a lot more to it than that. It's already got, you know, base scope support, which I think the last time I played with this, it didn't even have support for the base scopes yet. Or maybe it's, it could be that it's just pending, oh no, there's the M7 and stuff too. Okay, yeah. So this has support for both base scopes and Optre scopes. So, you know, all your marksmen, if they want a different scope like this, they can get it. But it actually comes with a pretty good scope. She's custom made some scopes for this thing. I believe, and I want to double check this in a second, but I believe there's only one currently in, and that is the M395 optic is all it's called, which is just kind of like this base scope here. It's got a little targeting thing there. Doesn't at least currently have any attachments, so no laser pointers, no flashlights, anything like that. It's got two muzzles actually, so this is pretty cool. I've not seen this on any other weapons really where it's done this, at least none of the sets I've used for weapons. You've got your normal extended barrel that you see in the game, so this is kind of like the completed default DMR. And then we've now got a silenced version. The silenced version sounds silenced. And, you know, as you expect, the not-silenced version, the standard, you know, muzzle brake, does not. And it does work with bipods, so that's always a plus too. Some of them do kind of clip through a little bit, so that's just something to bear in mind. If you're really nitpicky about that stuff, the CSAT one doesn't work perfectly with it, but you know, these are just the defaults bipods, so it's not really that big of a deal. This is if you want to be really nitpicky. But yep, bipods work. You don't sink through the ground when you're getting in. You can zoom in with the scope. So you can actually see, this is kind of cool, is it tells you the power of the magnification. So you start off at 2 times, you go to 4 times and 6 times. I know it's got 2.5 and 4.5, but you can't actually use those. But still, it's really cool that the magnification actually changes, or the indicator for it actually changes. So that's what OptreZ has going on now. I'm not sure if we will be seeing any sort of other weapons, or I should say what we'll be seeing next, now that she's developed this. The MA37 has had some updates, however, I don't believe they are in-game currently. The MA37 did get its ammo counter completed, and I'm not seeing that in here, so I'm going to say no, it has not. But yeah, the MA37 had its ammo counter completed. It's pretty cool. It's nice to see the weapon finally have everything it's supposed to, but we can't access that yet, so we will have to wait until the next actual release, probably of the full mod, before we get to see this, I'm guessing. Hopefully we'll get to see it released in Optrez, but given the fact that it's not already in there, probably means that that won't be happening. I can't imagine that would be the case at this point. Let's go ahead and keep moving on, though. I want to talk about Optre M. Optre M is another spin-off. I know some of you guys are groaning like, oh my god, not another Optre spin-off. I want everything in one mod, because I've heard that a few times before, and I understand why. But this was originally started off to be as kind of a for fun mod. You know, we're going to add kind of ridiculous stuff that doesn't really necessarily fit into the main mod. And it very quickly changed into, hey, let's add all sorts of stuff that's never going to get added into the main mod, but it's not necessarily a super game breaking like a shotgun that fires mac rounds or something. So the first thing they're working on is an MA5KB. Now the MA5K, as obviously it was just added in the last patch, and it was an Optrez for a while. So why add the B? Well, I'm not sure how this is going to perform differently as far as the actual mechanics of the gun goes, but visually it's a big departure from the one already in game. It's like if you were to take the Halo 5 battle rifle and fuse it with the MA5 or the MA37 is almost what this thing would come out to look like. You know, the base is the MA37. It looks a little bit shorter, maybe, but it's also got like the little rail system, like I said, from the BR75. I think is the Halo 5 battle rifle. I think I said AR originally, but yeah, it's the Halo 5 battle rifle. And it's got the little carrying handle, all that stuff's on there. It's a mean-looking weapon. It's really good quality right now. But right now, it's just in a modeling program. They're still working on trying to get it into the game. They had to actually just recently redo this weapon to kind of fix some of the flaws they had. They basically had to remodel it from the ground up. I have no idea how long it's going to take to get this thing in game. I know they've been looking for some people to do textures and stuff like that, which is kind of funny. Normally, you have a hard time finding modelers. Optre's always been kind of backwards because they can't find people who can do textures and configs and stuff like that. It's really funny that that's how that works out. But they've also been working on a couple of other projects. The first one is the G4HDUSH, or the Gadoosh as it's known. Now, somebody was saying this was actually a concept art weapon for one of the Halo games that never made the cut. I was reading on a website this is a fan-in weapon, so, you know, fan cannon weapon. I don't know which of the two it is. I don't know if it's fan-made or officially. It's just, you know, never made it past concept. But it's an interesting weapon. It's a single-shot rocket launcher. Much more in line with conventional rocket systems that are in the game, like the NLAW, almost, except for a little bit more sci-fi looking. It's kind of an interesting weapon. I don't know. It's not really my thing because, I'll be honest, it's hard to beat the Spanker because the Spanker is just so iconic to Halo. It's been there since Halo 1. You know, the whole idea of a double-barreled rocket launcher that, like, rotates around as you spin the rockets, and then you, like, unclip it from this little metal, like, section, like the firing section, and you pull out the tubes, and you've got, like, tubes in a carrying case. It just seems so sci-fi. You know, it's definitely not really practical on a battlefield, but, you know, for defensive purposes, it's actually a really awesome weapon, I suppose. Now, this one's only in the early blockout phase. It's a lot less far along than the MA5K is. You know, and it's being worked on at a lot slower of a pace, so I don't know when we'll be seeing this or if we will at this point, let alone how it'll handle compared to the current rocket launchers in-game. It'll probably, like I said, handle a little bit more along the lines of the current, like, NLAW or the RPG 32 or something, I would imagine, but we'll have to wait and see if that's the case for sure, because it really could be, it might not be. It's hard to say, though. And then they're working on one last weapon, which is the MA3. The MA3 is, the design they're using is actually a base from the MA37 concept art that Bungie had developed. The MA3 is a much more stripped down looking weapon. It's really kind of an awesome weapon. I'm really excited for this, even though it's it too is in a very early blockout stage. It's just so different compared to all the current weapons in game. As far as how stripped down looking and stuff it is. Now, I don't know how this will handle compared to the current assault rifles in the game, if it'll be a lot different or not. It's supposed to be a lot older of a model, so it'll probably handle maybe similar to an MA-37, but maybe a little bit less efficient or something, or maybe it'll not have an ammo counter or some such. I don't know. It's very different though, so we'll have to wait and find out exactly how it is supposed to work, because it's in an even earlier stage, I think, than the Gadouche. So we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. I mean, that's all we really can do. So let's go ahead and talk about Big Wilk. Let's get back into the official mod for just a second. I know I'm kind of jumping in and out of the official mod a little bit more so than usual. Blame the way in which I take notes. But he uploaded a picture earlier today of a new console on Blood Gulch, so it looks like he's adding in a new console or perhaps new console functionality of some kind. This doesn't appear to be the current console. It appears a little bit wider. It's kind of hard to tell because it's in the dark. But yeah, it's definitely looking like a new console that's going to be getting added in for some purpose. So it looks like it'll have probably some form of functionality for the vehicle lift is what's going to be attached to, but it's hard to say for certain. And then he's also going to be re-adding jetpack functionality to the main mod. So the jetpack was removed because it had some performance issues with the game, and players were getting injured when they were trying to use it, because it's kind of a dangerous thing. It's difficult to use efficiently unless you get a lot of practice and you're really careful about what you're doing, which is kind of hard in the middle of combat when you're trying to jump jet up on top of a building. You got somebody maybe shooting at you or something. But yeah, so that's gonna be getting added in sometime, hopefully soon. Other than that, though, that's all I got to talk about for Big Wilk. Not much else that's going on his front that I know of, or that he's talked about a lot recently. That doesn't necessarily mean he's not doing anything. It just means I have no idea what he's up to. So let's go ahead and talk about the M247. And I kind of kick myself in the butt because now that I've got this video going and recording, it occurred to me that I forgot to load one of the mods up. Now, I could go back and I could re-record that and add that footage in over, and maybe I will, but I don't really see that happening, I'll be honest with you guys. So the M247 is a weapon that I am kind of obsessed with. I'll be honest with you guys. It's definitely one of my favorite weapons from the Halo universe. I always liked the light machine guns and stuff, so I like the M247 is one of my favorites. Was it the M37, I believe, is what's currently in game. Is one of my favorite weapons in the mod. But the M247 is the light machine gun that you see in Halo 3. It's mounted on static turrets or the tripod that you see Sergeant Johnson carrying in the first level, and a couple other points throughout the game you see it too. Right now, at current, there is a variation, the M247H, which is the Reach variation, is released for OpCan. Now, the 47H is pretty good. It's essentially the same weapon, but it looks a lot different. It performs a little bit differently. It'll probably perform a lot differently when the actual releases get finished for both this and the M247, whoever ends up actually completing that project. But I'm very excited for it. I actually found an old model in the Eridanus Insurrection, which is the kind of the precursor mod to Operation Trebuchet before the dev team kind of split up over a few differences. They had M247 in progress. I'm not sure who is working on this. I just know it was being worked out. It was very early in progress. You can actually get it in-game if you have the Eridanus Insurrection. It's textured, but the texture is not great. It looks like the model was probably uncompleted, and that somebody put it in-game with a config to see if it was working. It had planned to go back and redo some of the modeling, maybe, or maybe whoever's working on it was a little bit newer to modeling at that point. I'm really not sure what was going on with it. All I know is that I had never actually noticed that before because, up until past Operation Trebuchet's release, I never really used Personal Arsenal like I do in here. So I actually managed to find the M247, having gone back and trying to use some content from the old mod for a video I was working on for a friend for a project I'm working on. And, just lo and behold, there's this M247 just sitting in there. It works, it fires. It's kind of inaccurate. It's got a lot of ammo, though. It's definitely meant to be kind of placed down and just uses like a area defense type of weapon. It's so cool, though. Just even, like, the terrible version that's in the game is so awesome to have. But with that being said, it's kind of a cursed weapon because there's been a lot of people who have attempted this weapon and no one succeeded yet. Maybe that'll change. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. But here's the current list of people that I know of that have worked on this weapon. A gentleman named Freeman just recently, well, I say recently, this is about a month and a half ago at least, that he posted on the Discord that he was working on it. He posted a really quick picture of it. I got a picture in here actually of it from a modeling program and, you know, a render of it he had. It's still very, very early on. That's all we saw. I mean, just, it was in the modeling program and that was it. You know, maybe he's still working on it, maybe not. I really couldn't say. I'd like to think he is. I'd like to think that's gotten a lot further along. But as far as I know, that is not the case. We will have to wait and see ultimately when it comes to it. But, you know, I just have a hard time thinking that it's been worked on any further. So in addition to that, who else has worked on it? HK Urban. Now, this is actually an official mod developer. HK's kind of gone missing, though, unfortunately, from what I've been told. You know, he was working on it, and then he kind of went MIA. So as far as right now, it's looking like that will be incomplete. You know, that probably won't be done ever, at least not on his end. But who knows? Maybe he'll come back, maybe not. We'll see. You know, other mod developers have come back. You know, they've worked on stuff and then took like really long hiatuses and stuff, and they actually came back to the mod when people thought they would never do that. So I'd like to be proven wrong in this case, but that's just mainly because I'd like to see this weapon really added into the game. I'll be honest with you guys. And the last person who said they're going to work on it, as far as I know, they haven't actually gotten really any work on it done, is Tim. Now, I think if somebody's going to get this done, Tim's probably going to be the guy. Tim is a developer for a couple different games. I believe he actually just started with Sins of the Prophets, because I know he's had SOTP in his name, but he's a member for sure of Halo Evolutions, or now just Evolutions, which was or still is a in development mod for Command & Conquer, I believe, Generals, or 0 Hour or some such, in which he's developing a Halo mod for it. It's really awesome looking mod. It's something I was actually following since before I really started following Optray, I think. So hopefully he'll get that one done too. But he's gotten a lot of awesome stuff into the game, or that he's been working on. So he actually just publicly released his first Operation Trebuchet mod, and I know he's got more he's already been developing. There are still works in progress. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he's been working on. So obviously the M247 is the first thing, but like I said, I don't have any images of that. So the first thing he's been looking at is, I'll actually go back in game here to show this to you guys. We're actually going to plop another guy down, so let's just grab an airman real quick here, and we'll use him as our guinea pig. So the M247, as far as I know, is still under development. Tim's put it out for more widely open public release. He actually gave this to me a while ago, and I was going to have an exclusive on it, but for reasons I've had to re-record the video. So here we are. You know, this is out, so anybody can get this. It's available through Steam. I will probably provide a link down in the comments below. If not, for whatever reason, I don't do that. It should be available on Tim's page, and he's been posting download links in the Discord and stuff too. So the M739, I think I've been saying 247 still. The M739 is the Halo 5 and Halo 4 light machine gun variant. This is actually supposed to be a weapon that was in use during the war against the Covenant, and I believe even during the insurrection, this was supposed to have been active, according to lore. Now, obviously, this wasn't around before then. You know, and generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of the Halo 5 design style, but it's a really good quality weapon from what it looks like, especially for his, I believe, his first Arma mod. Now, it does work with a variety of different scopes from the vanilla game, and actually, this wasn't in here last time I played, but it looks like he's actually added in sight for it, which wasn't in previously. This isn't a scope, though, it's just a sight, which is kind of interesting to have a sight, which The sight seems to not quite work, so he might have just added the sight in so far, because I can't right click or anything. That is interesting. I don't know why that would be. Let's go ahead and throw this on here. So yeah, there you go. So you can see, this is, that's the recoil for it. This is also a vanilla game. I actually have Ace off, which normally a lot of times when I do these videos I have Ace on. But this will give you kind of an idea of how the weapon's recoil is. Run, Seagull, run. And you can also see it's got a ton of ammunition. I mean, yeah, I don't know how efficient this thing is for killing, really. I haven't really tried it against a whole lot of people. It seems pretty good. It seems pretty well balanced from the tests I have done so far, but I guess we'll have to see when it's a little bit more common use when you're trying to kill guys from a lot farther, because I was using this in fairly close quarters, too, when I was trying it out. Having some issues here. It does have bipods that supposedly are attaching to it, but you don't actually see the bipods anywhere. And if I get down the ground, you do sink into the ground, so I don't think it's actually got bipods that are attaching at all. So you're probably gonna have to be kind of careful about going prone with this weapon, because there's a good chance like the rounds are gonna like hit the ground in front of it, in front of the barrel, depending on how you're set up here. However, you know, as my Air Force guy with the brown helmet and this weapon, I could definitely pass for a pile of sand from a distance. Oh, is that a guy? No, it's just a pile of sand, guys. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, oddly shaped lump. But Tim's got a number of other projects going on besides the M739 here, which he just released. He's also working on a few different things. Like I said, the M247's one. Another thing he showed me, I don't know if he's actively working on this or not, is a laser designator, the one originally seen in Halo Reach. Now, I don't know exactly how that'll work. I'm presuming that'll probably work just like a regular laser designator. It'll probably be grouped as like a binocular or something. It'll just look a lot different. It's hard to say for sure, because these are the current laser designators, and they look just like a set of binoculars. I don't know how you'd work it with the Halo Reach one, where it's got like the pistol grip and stuff on there with it too. Pretty excited for that one, though. That would be really cool to have some laser designation stuff going on a little bit more actively. But we'll have to wait and see on that one just a little bit longer, I'm guessing. The other one, which I know for sure he's working on, is the, I believe it's the F99 is the designation for it, but it's the Wombat. This is a UAV drone. I don't have any in-game footage of this. He's gotten it in-game, but he's basically just copied it and put it on top of a current UAV. So this very much is going to be totally redone. He's just trying it out in-game to see how the model looked. This model is actually from the Evolutions mod I mentioned previously, and it is just so awesome. So the current role of the Wombat that he plans on putting on, I'm assuming it will probably be a pretty similar to the current UAVs, so a reconnaissance vehicle and maybe some strike capabilities, remote strike stuff, either through mounted missiles and stuff like that, or perhaps a little bit like remote missiles or something, just laser guidance to a target. I don't know. In the actual lore, it's listed as a fighter and a drone, but it's hard to say for sure, because in some cases it says it's just a drone, or maybe it's a fighter too. Nobody's really clear on that. They do fly around in formations, which probably indicates that they are actually a fighter, but it also looks cool, so that's probably why Bungie did it. This is definitely one of the most exciting things that I've seen happen for a little while, at least for me. Just the Wombat looks really awesome, and I was kind of hoping to see something like that added into the mod. So to see that actually getting put in is very cool. Beyond that, though, like I said, it's pretty much just pasted onto a UAV, so we probably won't be seeing this for any time. Tim said he wants to redo the texture, wants to redo the model. He needs to get some more unique config stuff set up for it so that's actually working properly as intended for this particular vehicle as opposed to a different vehicle. So we'll have to wait and see on that one just a little bit longer. I've got a couple more things, though, I want to talk about. We're not quite done yet. This is a little bit longer because it's been a little while since I've actually updated you guys on anything, so we'll have to wait and see what we've got going on with those. But, yeah. So up next, we've got some more binocular stuff actually appropriately. So we're going to kind of swing back to the designator here just a tad bit. But Jedi Nick has been working on a project. Now, Jedi Nick's worked on a number of different projects like chairs and all sorts of stuff like that. Unfortunately, well, Nick's made a lot of awesome stuff. I don't think a lot of it's actually made it into game yet for config reasons, more than likely. But he's gotten the binoculars that you see in Halo Wars 1 that Sergeant Forge is using to spy on the Arbiter. He's got them in-game. He's got them working. I don't know if all the functionality he wants is there or not yet, because as far as I know, these aren't out for public release. I don't know if he's doing any testing, closed doors, anything like that, you know. But I'm definitely excited to have some more optics and stuff for Optray, because right now there isn't any Optray like binoculars or anything in. There's actually a few different Halo binoculars and stuff you see in the games. I saw some concept art for one similar to what Jedi Nick's working on, but it had like a third scope in the top center, so I'm guessing that was some kind of probably some kind of designator, maybe. I don't know. It could just be like regular binoculars. I guess it really doesn't matter because it's not being made and it's not being added into the mods, so who knows. At any rate, pretty excited for what Nick's working on. And if you guys are unfamiliar with Nick, he's the guy who made the Welcome to Reach mission and a couple other, well, he's working on another mission, but he's done a couple of different things for the community at this point. Let's go ahead and talk about clans. Now, warning here, I'm about to start this off with a shameless plug for my own clan, just so you guys know ahead of time. We're going to talk about other units and stuff, but I got to plug the 17th ODST. You know, it's run by a friend of mine. You know, I'm a member of it, and, you know, we're currently one of the longest running Optray units out there. So I'm going to be a little bit shameless when I plug it. So the 17th just released a big patch, the big focus of which was a lot of our own custom content. We've got custom helmets that have, you know, infrared, night vision, all sorts of stuff built into the helmet. It's got built-in earplugs, all sorts of stuff like that that we've been working on. You know, we've started developing... Oh, gosh, why is it doing that? Maybe that was a bad spot to place these guys on top of this. Let's go ahead and move you guys down there. We've got custom armors for our different elements, our different squad elements that we've been releasing here. We've got some other stuff here I'll show you guys in just a second. So these are all mostly work in progress. A couple of these guys are done already. But you can see a few of our squad elements, and I have to thank Tim too for a lot of these. Tim is also part of the 17th ODST, and he's been putting a lot of work on these as well, along with a couple other guys from our unit. He's also got some really cool graphics he did for the Corps of Engineers, which is our like in-unit, in-house development team. So, you know, we asked him to create a couple things. We wanted like a training uniform. Optray had one like this, but it had some bugs with it, so it was removed from the game. Primarily, I think, due to some texturing issues. So, I believe this is Tim's design, or he was the one who came up with this, but this is basically based off of the Forward Unto Dawn video that you see the guys at the Corbello Academy wearing ones like this. So you can see it's got the drop pods and stuff like that, and it's got like the little up arrow pointing to the UNSC logo. That one looks really awesome. And then he also created us a ODST dress uniform too, which is listed as 17th officer, which is kind of inaccurate, but definitely really cool looking stuff. Because that was one thing missing from the OpCan, was they had the dress uniforms for the Navy, the Army, and the Marines, but nothing for the ODST, which is kind of funny because those are actually, I believe, the only dress uniforms we've actually seen to date. So that's the big stuff that was just recently added, you know, and if you guys have seen before, I think I've shown off before, we've got like custom vehicle designs for our air units, stuff like that. So that's the 17th ODST. You know, it's a shameless plug, I'll be honest with you guys, but there it is. So kind of sticking in the same realm, but being a little bit more open, I'd like to welcome all the new BattleNet probationary members. I'm not going to say them here yet because they're all still in probation, but they're all doing really awesome so far. We lost one of our units not too long ago from BattleNet, but since then we've gained 4 or 5 different groups into BattleNet, so that's going to become really populated here really soon. We've all been kind of discussing various things, showing off training video, stuff like that. So that's definitely something I'm really looking forward to, getting to introduce those guys a little bit more formally, at least through the BattleNet website. So keep an eye on BattleNet. You know, check that out here and there, because soon these guys should be coming off of probation, getting listed there a little bit more appropriately. And then last thing I want to talk about is OSP Community Ops. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with OSP, basically it's run by this guy named Schmidt. He's an awesome guy. He's a big part of the community for a long time. You know, he's been working on the server for a long time. Basically, what he wanted to do is he wanted to have, you know, kind of scripted missions, you know, a public server like you used to see on Fox Gaming, but he wanted to have scripted missions like all these units, like the 17th ODST do, and all these other groups that we do, you know, our scripted missions, but it's closed to only members only. You know, once in a while we'll let another unit in or whatever, you know, during certain exceptions. But he went out and he's like, okay, well, that's all fine and well, but I want this to be open to everybody. And so that's what he did. He went out and he made, you know, he's doing weekly operations every Sunday, you know, where he's doing these operations. Anybody's welcome to join. If you sign up ahead of time, you can get some of the more specialized roles. Otherwise, you just get plopped down into, you know, into whatever role, you know, is mainly needed. And the current one for this upcoming week, for this upcoming Sunday, which is in just a couple days, is going to be heavy armor. So that one's going to be pretty awesome, I think. You're going to start to see those Scorpion tanks, the Bison, are really going to get to stretch their feet, probably for the first real time since the mod's been put out. You're going to see like probably a true decent convoy or something, I'm guessing. Last week, or last one they did, I believe, was like naval security. We're supposed to be like protecting a ceremony that gets ambushed. Kind of unique stuff like that. So check them out. They're on the Discord. He'll have links to his server in there, operation times, available roles, all that sort of things that I don't have here. At any rate, guys, that is finally everything. You know, I'm pretty sure I haven't missed anything. If I have, I do apologize. Like I said, I did miss the M247. But other than that, I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Let me know what you guys think about the new content. What are you most excited for? Is it the new DMR? Is it the Rhino tank? The new armor for the guys? Any of the new weapons I showed off? Anything like that? Let me know in the comments below. I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.